Now, showing off won't get you your breakfast any sooner.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Now, what'll it be? Sausage, bacon, waffles, pancakes, toast, muffins, scrambled, fried, or soft-boiled egg?
Just coffee, please.
I offer you 52 exotic flavors, and you choose vanilla.
That's all I have time for. I've got to get to town early.
Can I go with you?
Sweetie, you've got school. Besides, I've got to see a man about a job.
You already have a job. You're a writer.
Well, this is a little different. This is an office job, working on a newspaper.
Oh, you mean a real job?
Listen, you wouldn't mind me being away all day, would you?
You don't mind when we're at school all day?
Never thought of it that way.
Where are you bound so early?
Oh, I'm going to town about a job.
Oh, I do hope the wolf isn't howling at the door.
Well, he only whimpers now and then. But I'm interested in this job for other reasons than money.
Other reasons?
It's different from what I have been doing, and it should be stimulating.
Oh, I'm delighted to see that you're expanding your horizons. I've always believed that a person of your talent and intelligence has an obligation to make the most of them.
Well, I don't know about that, but I am considering a job with the Schooner Bay Beacon.
What? You can't do that.
But, Captain, you just said that a person has an obligation to make the most of their talents.
Yes, blast it, but this is different.
Well, how?
The Schooner Bay Beacon isn't worthy of you. No, it's just a little, small-town weekly newspaper.
Yes, it is.
The trouble with women is that they think like women.
Now, Mrs. Muir, I intend to tackle the real problems of the day. Slums, civil disorder, poverty.
Well, that's a challenge.
I thrive on challenge. I'm a graduate of the Columbia School of Journalism. Last week, actually. The Times, as a matter of fact, was dying to have me, but I felt obligated to Dad. Besides, Mrs. Muir, most of your Pulitzer Prize winners come from your small-town papers. Consider that, Mrs. Muir. The opportunities here, simply unlimited.
Well, that sounds attractive. Exactly what will I be doing?
Mrs. Muir, I've decided to make you my second in command on the Beacon team.
Oh, well, that is an opportunity. How many are there on the team?
You and me.
Well, I managed perfectly well for over 100 years, quite on my own. So I can certainly endure the few hours a day that she'll be gone. In fact, I quite appreciate her absence. Quite a relief not to have a woman bustling around, not to hear her voice. A soft, melodious voice. Blast. When will she be home? Madam, do you realize what the time is?
It's time to come home. Here I am.
I'm very disappointed in you, Mrs. Muir, working on a newspaper, and I thought you were a lady.
Well, there's nothing wrong with newspaper work. I can name you dozens of women who do it.
That is not the issue.
Oh? What is?
Well, the issue is that I am disappointed that you should demean yourself.
But that's absurd.
It is not absurd. Here you are, working day after day.
Captain, this is my first day of work.
On a muck-raking rag.
The only muckraking you'll find on this paper is in the garden column. You said you wanted controversy, but you vetoed every suggestion I've made because you don't want it to offend anyone.
Yes, well, we certainly don't want to tread on anyone's toes, do we?
Well, let's face it, controversy is controversial.
Mrs. Muir, don't get upset. You will learn in time to make your ideas consistent with our editorial policy.
And just what is our editorial policy?
I'm in the process of formulating it now. You'll read about it in next week's edition. I'm thinking in terms of, integrity in the mass media. How did that sound?
A little idealistic.
That, Mrs. Muir, is the name of the game. Now, I plan to give this editorial my undivided attention, so let's get your assignments out of the way.
All right.
All right. I want you to cover the church bazaar, the flower show, and PTA Dad's Night. By tomorrow, start setting up the classifieds and do a mock-up of the front page. By Wednesday, you should have the garden column, the recipe column, and the handy hints column.
I thought you were getting rid of those.
We are in time. We just can't forsake our loyal readers. Now, you'll have to set the farm news and the sports page, along with the vital statistics and the weather report. And, naturally, every day you'll water the plants and close the windows.
Naturally.
If you can get the society page and the book review in by Thursday night, there won't be too much to do on Friday.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
Except lay out the entire paper, and then it will be proofread before it's sent to the printers.
You want me to do that, too?
I will do the proofreading. But you can take the paper to the printers.
Good evening, Captain. How are things on the home front?
Oh, those poor orphans, your children.
Is anything wrong?
The wee abandoned waifs have been moping around all day, deserted by their only parent.
That's a bit overstated even for you, Captain.
Oh, if only you could have seen them. It would have melted your heart, if any.
Tomorrow, I'm planning to sell them to Fagin.
Jonathan, Candy. Hi, Mom. We didn't think you'd be home so soon.
No, if you think you're going to get by your poor, hard-working mother without a kiss, not a chance.
Can we go now? We've got a lot of things to do.
Okay. Now, about those poor abandoned waifs.
Bravely disguising their grief.
Seems to me the only abandoned waif around here wears a beard.
You know, it's a great feeling to put your first edition to bed.
Now, when you're up all night tucking it in,
By the way, where are our copies of the paper?
the printer will bring them over after he makes his deliveries.
Very good. We should now turn our backs on the past and look to the future. Next week's edition.
Mark, I think there's something we should discuss. You see, when I first came here, I was very eager to work on your newspaper. But now that a week has passed,
Would you mind answering that?
you're right next to it.
Yes, well, a publisher can't answer his own phone now, can he? Just pretend you're my secretary.
Schooner Bay Beacon. Who's calling, please? Just a minute, please. It's Mr. Cotter at the bakery.
Oh, Mr. Cotter, that's one of our biggest advertisers. Hello, Mr. Cotter. How are you? Like the display I did for you? Yes? Yeah. No, that's obviously... What? Okay, bye. Miss Muir, get a copy of the paper from the printers.
What's the matter?
There was a typo in the bakery ad. Instead of sale, it reads stale.
That's not too good for a bakery.
I thought I told you to proofread all the copy.
You told me not to. You were going to do it.
Don't argue, Mrs. Muir. Get a paper.
Some folks got a mighty strange sense of humor.
What are you talking about, Nori?
Ad for Norrie's Lobster House. Try our spoiled lobster with bitter sauce.
That should have been boiled lobster with butter sauce.
No, it wasn't other.
I can't understand this, Nori.
Like I say, some folks got a strange sense of humor.
Well, listen, Nori, wait, whoa, Nori! Miss Muir, could you, because I can't. Would you?
Schooner Bay Beacon. Check our general store ad.
Oh, no. Rotten dresses in appalling colors.
Cotton dresses in appealing colors. I'm terribly sorry. Yes, we'll try to clear it up right away.
This whole paper's filled with typos. I'm gonna have to give everyone a refund. My father's gonna be furious. Furious.
I demand restitution.
Oh, Mr. Gregg, what, may I help you?
Any more of your kind of help and I'll be out of business.
What happened to your ad?
What happened to my ad? I put in this copy for a real estate ad. Cozy cottage for sale by a lake. Unfurnished, completely wired. And this is what I read. Crazy cottage for sale by a fake. Unfinished, completely weird. I should sue you for libel.
Oh, it was just a careless mistake, Mr. Gregg, but I take full blame, sir, for having hired an incompetent assistant.
Mrs. Muir, you did this to me.
Claymore, I assure you that whatever happened was purely accidental.
Accidental? Why, this is sabotage. It's inhuman.
Claymore, how could you... Oh, wait a minute. You may be right. You are right.
Inhuman?
Inhuman.
Mrs. Muir, this is the best edition the Beacon's ever put out. It's hilarious.
Thanks.
I didn't know you were going to do it this way.
Neither did I.
But we better get dinner started.
All right, Horace Greeley. Come out wherever you are.
Horace Greeley?
I know you're the gremlin of the print shop, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You must have stayed awake all night thinking of clever ways to sabotage the Beacon. Rotten dresses in appalling colors. Really.
Did you like that one? My favorite was Crazy Cottage for Sale by a Fake. Made a comment.
Then you admit it. You did sabotage the paper.
I merely improved its readability. You see?
It's not funny. Mark Finley had to pay back every cent of his advertising revenue.
Did he? Does that mean that he can't afford to keep you on board?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was going to quit. But I feel so responsible for what you've done, I'm staying on to help him out of this mess.
Last.
Thank you. Bye, sweetie.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, Truth.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Mom sure leaves early.
Yes, but she makes up for it by getting home late. Let's have our breakfast.
Madam, I have something to say to you. I wish to...
Oh, Captain, please. I'm very tired, and I'm just not up to any more arguments about newspaper work being unladylike.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Muir. Actually, I haven't told you the complete truth about that subject. But since you're tired, I'll leave it to another time.
Complete truth? What complete truth? Captain? Captain?
Yes, Mrs. Muir?
What is the complete truth?
You sure you're not too tired?
Yes, Captain, I'm sure.
Very well. It is not newspaper work in general that I am opposed to, but this particular newspaper, Lucius Finley's newspaper.
Lucius Finley?
Yes, the great-grandfather of that young pup. Lucius libeled me, and I have never forgiven him for it.
How did he libel you?
He published an account of my death. He called it a suicide. It was nothing of the kind. It was an accident. There was a gale blowing at the time. The windows were closed.
And you kicked the blasted heater in your blasted sleep.
Yes. But how did you know that?
Well, you told me the first day I moved in, remember?
Well, then you know the entire truth. And I'm sure you understand how much it pains me to see you working for that scurrilous sheet of Lucius Finley's.
Yes, Captain, I think I understand.
And you'll resign from the Schooner Bay Beacon tomorrow.
No, Captain. But I will end this century-old feud by removing the cause.
How will you do that?
Well, I'll have the Beacon print an article telling the truth about your death, retracting the false story they ran at the time.
A retraction of something that happened 100 years ago?
That's absurd.
No, Mark, that's integrity. It demonstrates that the search for truth is never-ending, and it couldn't possibly offend anyone.
All right, I'll do it.
Oh, good.
I'll run a small box on an inside page. If you can come up with evidence that Captain Gregg's death was accidental.
Evidence? How can that Finley whelp expect you to find evidence of an accident that happened over a century ago?
What about the papers you left at the time?
What papers?
I read the account of your so-called suicide in a back issue of the Schooner Bay Beacon. It said the police took some papers into custody, including a note you left.
It's a forgery. I'd like to see that note.
Well, it might just be the evidence we need.
If it's still on file, which I doubt.
Oh, I don't know. Schooner Bay's very efficient about that sort of thing.
It was, until Claymore Gregg became the town recorder.
You don't have to read the whole thing, Claymore. You're only supposed to notarize my signature.
Notary public is a responsible office, Norrie. No, I will not notarize anything that I have not read first.
Won't argue with you.
Claymore!
Now, there's no use arguing with me, Norrie. I simply will not do it. And that's that. I thought it was Norrie.
I am Norrie.
Oh, then you have to have identification, please.
Identification.
Where are the Schooner Bay death records?
But
He can neither see nor hear me.
But what, Claymore?
But I will notarize your signature, Norrie, without identification because we're such good old friends. And if friendship doesn't mean anything, Norrie, then what is this world coming to? Now, there you are, all notarized and legal. It'll stand up in any court in the land, Norrie.
Only one thing, Claymore.
What is it?
I haven't signed it yet.
That is a mere formality. Now, take it home and at your leisure, look at it and sign it there. Thank you, Norrie.
Fine.
Goodbye.
Ah! Here we are.
Whose death record is that?
Mine.
You can't look at that.
Why not?
Well, we've never had anyone look at his own death records before, that's why.
Here's the proof I need.
Proof that you're dead?
No, don't. Proof that my death was accidental. This is not a suicide note. It's merely a reminder to have my gas heater fixed.
But you can't do that. No, nothing from these files may be removed from the premises. It's absolutely against the law.
Arrest me.
Mark? Mark?
Oh, Miss Muir. You interrupted my train of thought. I was working on my editorial.
I'm very sorry to bother you. I just wanted to tell you I have the evidence.
What evidence?
That Captain Gregg's death was accidental. You said that if I found the evidence, you'd correct the original story that said his death was a suicide.
I said that?
You certainly did.
That's right, I did say that. I hope you also remember that I said I'd only run a small box on an inside page.
Yes, I remember.
But if I release you to write that retraction, That'll put an extra burden of work on me.
I hate to impose upon you, Mark, but...
But you could make up for it by polishing up this rough draft of my editorial. No, it's written on the envelope. Well, it was good enough for Lincoln.
There you go. Better get started.
Aren't you going to work today, Mommy?
Yeah, I'm just going in a little later. Bye-bye. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.
So long. Wonder why the paper isn't here yet.
Hope it's as good as last week's.
Oh, it won't be anything like last week's.
Oh. Well, how about next week? Couldn't we have another April Fool issue?
Next week's Beacon is just going to have to struggle along without me. I'm resigning today.
I thought you liked working.
Well, I do. But this hasn't turned out to be quite what I had in mind. I've done everything for that paper except deliver it. Mark. Oh, you're delivering the paper?
Mrs. Muir, how could you bite the hand that fed you? You've ruined me. You've made a fool of me. What'll Dad say?
What are you talking about?
Ingrate? Incidentally, you're fired.
Oh, no. Well, you don't have to look so smug. You did get me fired.
Oh, you were going to quit anyway. I merely saved you the trouble.
Tell me, Captain, did you really care about that retraction?
Of course I did. Why do you think I went to so much trouble to get it printed?
Well, I thought maybe you went to so much trouble just to get me fired.
Madam, do you really think that I objected to that job of yours simply because I missed you here at Gull Cottage?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Ha! That's absurd. I have never been dependent upon a woman, any woman, at any time. I have managed perfectly well without you for over 100 years.
Oh, hi, Mark. What brings you here?
Mrs. Muir, there are certain responsibilities that an editor must face. So I've decided to shoulder the entire blame for last week's edition.
Why, that's very generous of you. I hope your father wasn't too angry.
No. As a matter of fact, Dad was very proud. You see, the wire services picked up my retraction as the human interest story of the week.
His retraction?
I've gotten a great deal of favorable publicity, Mrs. Muir, and I'd like you to come back to work with a raise. That's very strange. There's not a cloud in the sky.
Well, I'm awfully sorry, Mark, but I've decided to work at home. And don't worry about the weather.